Today, we will be looking at a small-cap biotech company called Fractyl Health Inc. Guts. We will start with a snapshot of the business, then look at their product value proposition, before moving into their market niche value and landscape, competitive landscape, market access strategy, and finally finish off with our due diligence, valuation, and EPS forecast for the company. Alright, let's get started. 1. Company snapshot. Fractyl Health Inc. is a clinical stage bioelectronic medicine company focused on the treatment of type 2 diabetes or T2D and obesity. They accomplish this through procedural and implantable approaches that target root metabolic dysfunctions such as insulin resistance and disrupted gut hormone signaling. Their flagship platform is called Rejuva, which is a minimally invasive duodenal mucosal resurfacing or DMR procedure. Rejuva is designed to modify metabolic behavior at its origin in the gastrointestinal system. 2. Product value proposition. Rejuva is a non-surgical endoscopic treatment that removes the dysfunctional duodenal mucosa. By restoring the gut's hormonal signaling capacity, Rejuva rejuvenates insulin sensitivity and overall metabolic control. What makes Rejuva different? First, Rejuva targets the metabolic root cause of T2D rather than relying on chronic drug use to manage symptoms. Second, Rejuva has the potential for long-term glycemic control without the daily treatment burden associated with oral anti-diabetes medications or OADs or the need for a device like a CGM, which needs to be replaced every few minutes for weeks at a time. Third, Rejuva eliminates or delays the need for insulin in patients with T2D, and in some cases, complete insulin independence has been reported. In their real-world evidence study, patients undergoing Rejuva achieved improvements in HbA1c of approximately 1.2 to 1.5% with a mean follow-up of 21 months. Fourth, Rejuva offers an improved adherence profile. It is a physician-delivered procedure, removing the complexity of daily or weekly injections. In the real-world evidence study mentioned earlier, Rejuva was associated with gains of approximately 1.2 to 1.5 quality-adjusted life years, or QALEs, with a cost-effectiveness estimate of approximately $30,000 per kg gained. This compares favorably to the QALY cost of leading GLP-1 drugs, which is typically around $50,000 per kg. Fifth, clinical trials have shown that Rejuva can achieve significant and sustained reductions in HbA1c of approximately 1.5%, with some patients remaining insulin independent for up to 3 years. Notably, Fractyl is currently conducting two pivotal phase 3 trials, Revita 1 and 2, evaluating Rejuva in over 800 participants across more than 120 sites. Top-line data from these trials is expected in the first half of 2026. 3. Market niche value and landscape. We see two primary push and pull factors driving the opportunity for Fractyl. On the push side, Fractyl's DMR technology aligns with the emerging trend of device-based, minimally invasive metabolic interventions. This tech-forward niche is gaining traction with increasing regulatory support for innovative non-pharmacologic solutions to chronic conditions like T2D. On the pull side, there are growing payer concerns regarding the escalating cost burden of lifelong pharmacologic therapies such as GLP-1. Additionally, there is an unmet demand for durable interventions that can help patients achieve long-term metabolic control without daily medication. In terms of total addressable market size, over 36 million people in the US live with T2D. Of these, approximately 8 to 12 million may be clinically eligible for a non-drug procedural approach like DMR. When looking globally, the total addressable market expands significantly. Notably, in emerging markets, the appeal of a lower-cost, physician-managed intervention like Rejuva is especially high due to limited access to expensive GLP-1 drugs. 4. Competitive landscape. Fractyl faces competition in the broader metabolic treatment space, but has few direct competitors that have achieved the same mechanistic targeting or demonstrated similar clinical outcomes. One such competitor is 𝗙𝗥𝗔𝗕𝗓𝗄𝗔𝗔𝗍𝗪, whose endobarrier offers a duodenal jejunal sleeve that creates a physical barrier between nutrients and the intestinal mucosa. However, endobarrier has faced challenges including adverse events and was withdrawn from the European market in 2023. Another competitor is the 𝗙𝗏𝗏 intragastric balloon, which induces satiety by occupying stomach volume. But it offers only short-term efficacy, roughly 6 months, and limited glycemic control. In contrast, Fractyl's Rejuva addresses the underlying metabolic causes of 𝗕𝗏𝗔𝗕𝗏, offering a more durable and potentially curative approach with a better safety profile. 5. Market access strategy to gain traction in the market. Fractyl is most likely to pursue a multi-pronged market access strategy centered around value-based reimbursement arrangements with payers that reward therapeutic outcomes such as diabetes remission or medication independence. Second, bundled payments with ambulatory surgical centers to reduce costs through procedure efficiencies. Third, leveraging Medicare CPT codes and potentially qualifying for NTAP or new technology add-on payment for early adopter coverage. This approach appeals to both public and private payers, offering a strong economic case given Rejuva's cost-utility profile and long-term benefits. Additionally, from a patient engagement and adherence standpoint, Rejuva offers a significant advantage as the therapy is administered by physicians and does not require self-management, which is often a barrier to treatment adherence. 6. Valuation and due diligence. Fractyl Health is currently a publicly traded company listed on the NASDAQ under the ticker symbol GUTS. As of October 26, 2023, Fractyl has a market capitalization of approximately $360 million. Shares are currently trading between $0.75 and $5.30 with a recent surge to approximately $4.85 per share. Over the past 12 months, the company has shown positive signs of progress. They have expanded their regulatory and commercialization leadership teams. They have also completed patient enrollment in the pivotal phase 3 Rejuva DMR study and published positive peer-reviewed data in a top-tier diabetes journal. Additionally, they have initiated early real-world deployment in Europe and activated several new sites across Europe. Looking forward, we see the stock price increasing as key milestones like the phase 3 results and European regulatory filings approach. Despite the promise of the technology, there are risks involved in the path to commercialization, such as potential setbacks in clinical trials or regulatory approvals. 7. 5-year risk-adjusted DCF valuation. Using a discounted cash flow model and incorporating a risk factor for clinical uncertainty, we estimate the fair value of Fractyl. Our base case assumes a 65% probability of success for the current phase 3 trial. If successful, we project peak revenues of $1.2 billion by 2030 and an operating margin of 32% by 2030. Applying a discount rate of 12.5%, which reflects the higher risk of the sector, we arrive at an intrinsic value of $8.50 per share in our base case. This represents a potential upside of approximately 78% from the current share price. In our bull case, which assumes an 80% chance of success, the intrinsic value increases to $11.20 per share. Conversely, in our bear case, which assumes failure in phase 3, the intrinsic value drops to approximately $1.25 per share. These scenarios yield projected compound annual growth rates, or CAGRs, between 21% and 31% in the base to bull cases through 2030. 8. EPS forecast over the next 5 years. We project a transition for Fractyl from clinical stage operations to a mature commercial stage biopharmaceutical company. Through 2025, the company is expected to continue expanding its clinical trials and operations in Europe. We forecast an EPS of -$1.45 for 2025. In 2026, we anticipate the company achieving positive top-line revenue, but still incurring expenses related to clinical trials and regulatory filings. As a result, we forecast an EPS of -$1.10. In 2027, Assuming successful outcomes, Fractyl should receive FDA approval and begin commercializing Rejuva in the US, generating first-year sales of approximately $100 million, while still managing ongoing R&D and SG&A expenses. We forecast an EPS of -$0.65. In 2028, we project that Fractyl becomes break-even with positive net income of approximately $12 million, driven by expanding procedural adoption. We forecast an EPS of $0.1. Finally, in 2030, we project strong revenue growth and maturing operations with significant payer integration, resulting in an EPS of $0.95. Alright, that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching, and until next time.